broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the webinar. We're going to start in about a minute because we still have a lot of people signing in, so please hold on 1 second. Hi, this is Jacqueline from National Mortgage Professional Magazine. I would like to welcome you to today's webinar presented by Frank Garay and sponsored by Remen Wholesale. I would like to thank all of our webinar attendees for taking the time out of their busy days for this very valuable and informative webinar in our ongoing series of webinars. If you have any questions during the webinar, please be sure to ask them on the GoToWebinar console. We will try to answer as many questions as possible at the end of the webinar. If a question you submitted was not one of the ones we had time to answer, it will be sent to Frank. For all of the webinar attendees, a recording of today's webinar will be sent. We are thrilled to have Remen sponsor this webinar. Without any further ado, I'd like to turn this over to Carl Markman, Director of National Sales for Remen, who will tell you more about this webinar.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline, and thank you very much for all of you to attend this webinar. It looks like there's a significant need for more content and more information around trying to obtain new business, evidenced by the number of people that are on this call today. I'd like to welcome Frank Garay and thank him for hosting this today for us. He's the co-founder and co-host of the National Real Estate Post. Frank, thank you very much. It's all yours.
All right, thanks, Carl. Thanks, Jacqueline. Hi, everybody. This is Frank Garay with the National Real Estate Post. We're going to get started, but before we do, we kind of wanted to run a quick poll that'll pop up on your screen. We just want to get our finger on the pulse of who we're talking to out there. It's just going to ask you what you do. If you're a loan originator, if you're an account exec, or if you're a realtor, or something else. So, Jacqueline, if you could get the poll going up there, that would be great. And while that is getting done, and let me know if there's any issues with that, Jacqueline. I don't know if you might have to take control of the screen or what have you, but if you could do that, that'd be great. And then we'll come back and check on that.
So wait a couple more seconds. Just a couple more seconds to give some people to answer.
Okay. All right, great. So we're getting that poll done, and as soon as we have some results in, we'll see that, and that'll be kind of fun to look at. And before we get into this, I'm just going to go ahead and do kind of an opening monologue to tee this whole thing up. The subject matter here is getting more business into the pipeline without spending any money, and this is going to be really easy to do. But I do want all of you to just bear with me on this. I'm going to go over some basic stuff here that you probably feel like you already know. But I can assure you that probably most of us on the call are not doing this. But it's critically important. I know exactly where we are in the market right now. I'm one of the ones who survived the crash. I'm one of the ones who went through, going from, the mortgage industry going 1,000 miles an hour, going to zero overnight. I know what it means to experience this type of a market. And through my experience going through it, I definitely learned some things and did some things that definitely improved my dwindling pipeline in a tightening market. That didn't cost me any money. And so we're going to kind of dive into that real quickly here. It basically comes down to this, and I think we're all going to agree that if we want more closed purchase deals, or deals in general, we simply need more leads, right? We need more customers. We need more leads. And if we want more leads, we need more prospects. And so if we want more prospects, then what we really need to do is we need to take control of the situation and go start doing more prospecting is what it comes down to. And I know in today's days and age, the notion of prospecting is so technical. It's so post this, spend money on that, boost this, boost that, and hopes of something coming from that. When in reality, this business hasn't changed and as long as it's existed. There's ways that we can take control of our situation and generate more prospects by doing really rolling up our sleeves and getting down and doing some real prospecting. I think most of us, our business is really the result of, for a lack of a better way to say it, in my opinion, it's the result of random acts of kindness, man. That's what it's a result of. I'll give you an example. You're a loan originator. You go out into the field and you call on real estate agents. Hopefully you're doing that. You get to know some, and real estate agents start to think of you when they have a lead, or someone who needs to be pre-qualified. And the truth is, when they think of you, yeah, it is kind of the result of your getting to know them, but it really is just it's a random act of kindness. I mean, they've got a lot of loan officers talking to them, and but they just happen to be kind enough to send it to you. I know a lot of you guys probably, hopefully, you have drip campaigns going out to your past client database, emails that they're seeing on a consistent basis. But at the end of the day, unless they happen to think of you when they know of somebody who needs your help, you're not going to get anything out of it. So when they do think of you, it's a random act of kindness, and that's what it is. So in other words, we're putting things out, and we're just hoping for people to remember us, if you will, and think of us when they have somebody that needs our help, or if they need our help directly, which is, again, these are random acts of kindness is what they really come down to. So the thing is that we don't have to rely on random acts of kindness. We don't have to do that. We don't have to wait. We can do things that are us taking control of the situation. And, instead of waiting for a random act of kindness, we go out and we start asking for some business is what this really comes down to. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is just simply asking for the business. It's a very simple thing for us to do. It's something that we just have to practice, and it's something that we have to get accustomed to doing. And I'll share a few stories with you as we go along that substantiate what I'm trying to say. I know we feel like we need to ask for the business, and I think most people, most originators, real estate agents alike, salespeople, they consider asking for a referral at the end of a transaction. I mean, that's when they feel like they need to ask. So I'm going to prove myself. I'm going to do a great job, and then at the end, I'll ask for a referral. But the truth is this, guys, especially for the loan officers, because I'm betting that a big majority of the originators that are on this call don't actually go to the closing table, which is always a fun thing to do if you can do that from time to time, depending how busy you are. And that's a great place to ask for the referral. But not only do they not go to the closing table physically, very rarely when everything is done, do they physically actually say, hey, is there anybody else I can help right now? It's usually not the case. It's usually asking for the business or asking for a referral is typically, in an email signature saying, the biggest compliment is sending me a referral, or on the back of a business card, these types of things. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that stuff. I'm just saying, again, it's not taking control of your situation. It's not you in the driver's seat. We can't control anything, or we can't control a lot of things in this industry with respect to generating new business. But there is something that we can control, and that's our mouth. And that's our finger to dial the phone number. We can control that. And if we start taking control of that and asking for the business, you'll see a dramatic increase in your pipeline. And I'm going to share some really cool stuff with you to just show you, how to get this done in a really effective way. And it'll actually kind of be fun. So that's my deal there. Did we get the results from the poll question? Because I can't see it on my end if it showed up.
Yes, actually 91% are loan officers,
Okay.
3% are account executives, 1% realtors, and 5% other.
Oh, excellent. So mostly loan guys. But just so you know, I'm going to kind of go through this as if we were a loan originator, right? But if you're an account executive, same thing. All right, same thing. You'll be able to modify this and find ways to do this. If you're a real estate agent, you'll absolutely be able to do to be able to do the same thing. So the first thing I want to get into is a spreadsheet that I prepared that you guys are going to get at the end of this. I'm going to check my time. We're about 10 minutes in. A spreadsheet that is going to help you determine if I'm going to take total control of my situation, right? If I'm going to take total control, how many times a day do I need to ask? Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to quickly bring up a spreadsheet for us. And I just want to confirm with maybe Carl or Jacqueline if you see my spreadsheet, just to make sure.
Spreadsheet's up.
Thank you. Okay, so this is kind of an interesting spreadsheet. It's a lot of fun to use, and you're going to get this at the end of the webinar. We're going to email it out to you. Just a quick housekeeping on it. Don't change any numbers that are not white. In fact, not this one too. You shouldn't change this one either. But you can change this number. You can change this number. Don't change this one. You can change this number, this number, this number, and this number. And we'll go through these numbers and what they mean to us. But don't change anything else or you'll screw up the formulas that are embedded in there. This is not a real formal spreadsheet. It's just kind of a simple, fun one that I put together a long time ago. In fact, I used this with my own loan originators back in the day to try and figure some stuff out. So let's figure out this. If we know and if we honestly believe, and I think all of us do, that if we're going to take control of our situation, and if we really believe that the most effective way that we can get a referral or a new deal is by simply directly asking people, do you need my help, or do you know anybody that could use my help right now? If we do that physically with our mouth to someone's ear, right, on a consistent basis, you're going to have a lot better conversion, and you're going to be surprised at how many more leads you're going to be able to generate by doing that. And I'm going to show you, really how you can find ways to do it on a consistent basis. But first, let's start here. Let's talk about, how many times, if I'm going to say to myself, I'm not going to count on any random acts of kindness whatsoever. I'm not going to count on somebody thinking of me and sending me a deal. I'm not going to count on my Facebook ads generating me anything. I'm not going to count on any advertising I'm doing generating me anything. I'm not going to count on any money I'm spending generating me anything. I'm just going to count on me making some calls and asking people if they know anybody I can help, because that's the least I can do and that's the most effective thing that I can do, right? If I do that, I want to figure out, and if I count on me doing what I can control, I want to figure out if it was all up to me and just my control and doing this one activity, I'm going to figure out how many times a day would I literally need to ask somebody for a referral in order for me to hit my goal in the year. And so I'm going to pick a number. I picked $250,000 as the income goal, right? And I'm going to say that my average net income or commission per deal, right, in my area, based on my loan amounts, based on my bucket that I'm in, maybe I average $2,500 a deal, and you guys are going to be able to change these numbers all you want, right? Well, if I did that, that would mean I'd have to close 100 deals, obviously, to reach 250,000, right, in a year. Well, that would be at 200 and if my average loan amount was 250,000, this is just for fun. You can do this. Whatever your average loan amount is, it'll tell you what your annual production has to be. So if my average loan amount was 250,000, it'd be a $25 million year. If my average loan amount is 300,000, right? Not 3 million, 300,000. Right. It would be a $30 million year, right? So anyway, what we're going to do here is we're going to look at this. So the annual required closed deals that I need are 100, right? Which is basically 8 a month. What we're going to do is we're going to go and say, okay, let's go backwards here. When we get a deal that's made it all the way into our pipeline, whether it's a refi or a purchase, there's a certain, percentage of those deals that will actually close. And I know a lot of us like to think if it's in my pipeline, it's closing. I'm like 98%, 99%, et cetera. But here's the truth. We're going to look at that conversion ratio. We're going to look at the conversion ratio, what we call a lead pull-through ratio, a prospect pull-through ratio, and an ask pull-through ratio, right? The truth is, I think a lot of us have kind of a mental thought of what these ratios really are in our own personal book of business. But the truth is, and I've done this presentation in more detail live, where we really come to the bottom line that nobody even knows what their ratios are. Nobody really keeps track of it. Everybody just puts their head down every day and goes to work and hopes for the best and does what they can, but they're not really tracking closely what their actual conversion ratios are, especially when we get down to the lower rung here. So what I will encourage you to do is after today is really start trying to really figure out what these conversion ratios are. And as you dial those in and really understand what they really are, you can plug them into the spreadsheet, which is going to give you a real accurate number at the bottom of it as far as how many times a day you need to ask for the business. And you'll be surprised at what that number is. And believe me, it's just numbers. This business is just numbers. You're going to ask a certain amount of times. You're going to get a certain amount of responses. Those are going to convert in a certain amount in a certain way. And that's all it is. So you'll be able to really dial this in and figure out exactly what you need to do by taking control of this all by yourself, right? And not relying on random acts of kindness. So the first one is, if I get a deal in the pipeline, what percentage of those actually make it through and fund and close? I've got 80% here. You guys might say 90%. You might say less. Anything can kill a deal. An appraisal can kill a deal. Anything can kill a deal, right? So not 100% of your stuff goes through. You have to be really honest, and if anything, be a little conservative on this number. I'm saying 80%. It might be different for you. Okay, but before a deal gets into a pipeline, we've got a lead who wants to do something. They either want to buy, right, or they want to refi, or they're considering it, I should say. But how many of those people actually go to the next step of actually getting into contract to buy or actually filling out the loan application to do the refinance? What's that percentage? What is that conversion? And if you want, you could look at this as just purchase money and consider refis gravy, which I think is a great thing to do. Look at this spreadsheet as just purchase, right? Just purchase. Any refi activity that comes in, that's gravy, right? So it'll just add to the bottom line. So if we're looking at this as just purchase deals, you know, these leads, they come in, they feel like, you know, it looks like they're qualified. They're, you know, we can issue a pre-qual letter, even a pre-approval letter. How many of them actually, though, find themselves in contract, right? That get accepted, that get into the pipeline? There's a percentage. I don't know what that percentage is for you. It's going to be different for everybody. In this scenario, I'm saying 65%. Okay. You know, if we wanted to say 70, we could do that. People are feeling more optimistic, we'll say 70. Heck, let's say 75. You know, I don't care. Okay. So I'm going to say 75%. Let's say 75% of the people that you get pre-qualified or pre-approval for a purchase deal actually get into contract and go down the road, right? So we'll go ahead and give you that number. But now we have to look at this. We get leads in, right? We prospect, and those prospects, if we make connections with them, if we make them into a contact, we actually speak to them, some of them will actually turn into a lead, which is, a lead is someone who is actually interacting with you saying, okay, let's look at this. Let's consider this. Go ahead, run my credit. Go ahead, take the loan application. Well, not everybody who you run credit on or take a loan application on is going to qualify, right? Not everybody does. So what percentage of people do? Out of all the people that you pre-qualify, what percentage of them are real? What percentage of them can actually go into a transaction? They've got the cash, they got the ratios, they got the credit, right? They've got everything. They've got the job stability. What percentage is that? I'm going to be bold and say that a lot of people on the call just don't know that number because we're not keeping track of it. But if we do start to keep track of it really going forward, it's really going to help you dial the spreadsheet in. So I'm going to say 35%. I don't know. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. I think this is a pretty good average. I'm going to say 35%. Now let's get to the final one. Okay. The final one here is this. If you are calling people and asking them directly, hey, do you know anybody that could use my help today that I could talk to? If you're physically doing that, how many times do you think you'd have to ask that question, right, before somebody says, I do know somebody? What would the percentage be? Is it 1 out of 10 times, 2 out of 10 times, 1 out of 20 times? Is it 10% of the time, 15% of the time? What is it? Again, at this point, we don't know because nobody's doing it and nobody's tracking it, right? But if you were doing it and you were tracking it, you would have a real honest number you could put in here. I'm going to put 15% in. I think it's probably close. It'll be different for everybody. But in this scenario, if I use 15% and I use 35% here, and I use 75% here, and I use 80% here, let's do this higher for you guys because I know everybody is convinced they're really, really great, okay? And nothing ever slips through. 85% here, right? In order to reach a goal of $250,000 for the year, it boils it down to you every single day, 5 days a week. This is considering 5 days a week, giving you weekends off. Every single day, 5 days a week, 11 times a day, you would need to physically ask for the business, okay? 11 times a day. So now we got to think of, and this is, guys, this is you actually saying to somebody physically, your mouth to their ear, either face-to-face or on the phone, right? I'm trying to help some people, I'm trying to help as many people as I can today. Is there anybody you happen to know who might need my help to do a purchase or a refinance? Is there anybody you know today that I could call, right? Asking that question 11 times a day. is what you would have to do based on these conversion numbers, right? This number could change. You may find that, my gosh, it's only 5% of the time that they say yes. That number gets kind of daunting, doesn't it? Right? Let's hope it's not 5%. Let's hope it's more. Okay. Let's go back to 15% and look at a number that at least feels kind of reasonable to us, right? But that's what this comes down to. So now you're going to say, well, how can I possibly do that? Well, I'm going to tell you this. Okay. First and foremost, everyone on this call, I'm confident 99% of the people on this call, loan officer, real estate agent, account executive alike, has a database of people, a past client database, right? I hope you do. And if not, it's obviously something you need to start putting together where we have a person's name, email, and phone number and some information on the person. This is the database that is happy to refer you business because they've already done business with you. When I was in the Brian Buffini program, his deal was 5 a day. 5 a day, 5 days a week. You're basically looking at 100 a month. That's 100 times a month that you call and ask for a referral. And when I dove into the Brian Buffini system, and that's their whole system, guys, send something out, give them a call to see if they got it, have a little small talk, and ask them for a referral. There's the Brian Buffini system. I just saved you $200 a month. Okay. But you know what I found when I did that, guys, is that it worked really, really well. And you absolutely will add business into your pipeline immediately. Now, here's the deal. I said 5 past clients a day. That leaves 6 more people every day, right? There's still more people I need to call and I need to ask. And I need to physically ask, is there anybody you know that I can help? So let's kind of dive into that real quick. I'm going to shift over back to my spreadsheet. I just want to have somebody, Carl or Jacqueline, if you could confirm that we're back to the presentation rather. And that's what's on the screen?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and start moving forward. Now, this one is going to be crazy, guys, but I'm going to tell you a little story about it. All right. This next slide, you're gonna think this is insane. Okay, but it's not. Well, maybe it is, and that's the beauty of it. And maybe that's why it works so well. Okay. But here's the first time to ask someone for the business. All right. And that's at the end of pre-qualifying them. Now, okay, hear me out. All right. This is what I'm saying. And this is how this goes. Okay. Right now, the loan originators on this call I imagine most of them are doing several pre-qualification phone calls a week. Right. Some guys might be doing 10, 20 of these a week. Right. Some guys might be doing 5, 6. I don't know what it is, but you're pre-qualifying people. Okay. It's extremely rare that a loan originator asks somebody for a referral that they've just pre-qualified. Now, here's how it goes. You get the call. Either the borrower calls you directly and says, hey, so-and-so asked me to give you a call and I'm looking to get a loan. Can you pre-qualify me? Or your referral partner gives you a call and says, hey, call this guy, get him pre-qualified. And you call him saying, Sally Realtor told me to give you a call and pre-qualify you, right? This is how these things go down. You're on the phone with this potential borrower, this prospect at this point, right? And you say something to him to the effect of, hey, let's see how we can do here. You ask him a few questions. You kind of feel out if he's even worth pursuing or not, if he's worth running a credit report on or not, regardless. Okay, let's look at it. There's 2 directions. You might determine right here, right now, he's not worthy of even running a credit report on him. Right? You might determine that, right? In that case, call me nuts, call me insane. But what I would do is say this, hey, it doesn't look like you could do something right now, but if we work on these items, right, we could look at it again when these things are shored up or fixed up. If you like, I can get you into my system and we can work on these things together, right? My office and you. And as we get closer to having these things resolved, once they're fixed, then we can go forward from there. Is that something you might want to do? Most people are going to say sure. And this brings up a good point. Hopefully you guys have some sort of follow-up system in place for the people that aren't ready today, right? Who could be ready tomorrow, regardless of what the situation is. All right. And if he says, sure, that sounds great. You say, great, I'm going to get you in the system. We'll stay in touch. We'll work on those items. Then before you hang up, right, if you say something like this, hey, before I let you go, I'm trying to help as many people as I can right now. And with that in mind, is there anybody else, right now that I could talk to? Yeah, I'm saying say that right here, right now. And let's go the other the other route. What if you're talking to them, you feel like, okay, these guys look good. They got some potential. Let's go ahead and get a credit report run and get them in the system. They agree to do a loan app. You get them all pre-qualified. Hey, it looks like you can do this, an FHA loan or a conventional loan. It looks like it could get, you could buy this amount of sales price. You know, this is what the cost is going to be, whatever. I'm going to issue a pre-qual letter, you know, go for it. If you make that phone call to them and before you hang up, you use this script again, right from the pre-qual, say, hey, you know, before I hang up, I just want to let you know I'm trying to help as many people as I can right now. With that in mind, is there anybody else you know I could talk to right now that might need my help? Right? If you ask right now, okay, you're going to do yourself a big favor. I did this presentation in Dallas, Texas, a couple of years ago, in more depth. I went through this and through the rest of it that you're about to see here. And I had a loan officer. When we were done with the presentation, Brian and I said, hey, we're going to be at the bar, you know, if you want to come and hang out with us. And so we went to the bar. We were at the bar for about, 30, 45 minutes. A guy comes walking in, a loan officer. True story, swear, God is my witness, right? This guy comes walking in, it's loan officer from the event. He goes, Frank, you're not going to believe this. I go, what? He goes, before I drove over here, I got my car to come here. The phone rang. It was when my realtor partner said she wanted me to call somebody for a pre-qual. I called her. I talked to the lady from my car, on my phone in the car in the parking lot before I drove over here. He says, I gave her a call. I quickly determined she wasn't ready. She had some credit issues that weren't going to fly. I offered to keep in touch with her to help her fix the situation. And I did just like you said. I said, hey, before I let you go, I'm looking to help some other people. Is there anybody else that you know that could use my help? And she said, yes. She said yes and gave him the referral on the spot, who in turn called immediately from his car. The person was happy to hear from him, and he started working that person right from his cell phone in the parking lot, got her moving, connected to his assistant, getting a loan application started. Was jumping for joy, came and met me at the bar, like, hugging me, going, I can't believe it. It actually worked. One more thing before I move on, I want to go talk about is, and just I want you to think about this. Remember, if we got to ask for the business 11 times a day, how many times a day are you as an originator or as a real estate agent talking to people, starting to get them into the system? Right? They're not in yet. They're just a prospect. You're talking to them. How many times have you ever asked those people for referral? The answer is probably none. Right? But if you started doing it right now, just think in your mind how many more people that would be in a week, that you're asking for the business. And another reason you want to talk to these people, guys, is this. These guys they've got their real estate radar up and going. They are thinking, breathing, and eating real estate and mortgage right now. So they're little megaphones out there right now, especially if they turn out to be a good pre-qual and move into the system. These guys are thinking about real estate all day long. I'll tell you a couple of quick stories. First one is this. I was going to say, with respect to having a system for people that aren't ready to buy today, I'm sure everybody on the call, or hopefully many of the people on the call, are familiar with a gentleman named Tim Brahim. He was, of course, Loan Toolbox, which was a very popular product years ago. He was kind of a mortgage icon. But before he was Loan Toolbox, he was in a mortgage company, and he was a loan originator, and he worked with a couple of guys, one whom I know very well, Bill Hillestead. Some of you guys might know Bill Hillestead. He and Tim Brahim worked together in the mortgage company before Tim became Loan Toolbox. Okay. And at their mortgage company, Bill told me is they had a really good system in place for people that were not ready today. And those people were in a nice system where they stayed in touch with them. They dripped on them. They, saw where they were in the process of getting their credit fixed or whatever the case may have been. But he told me, he said, those people were the best referral partners ever. They weren't even in a transaction. They weren't even ready. But through the process of helping them out to get ready to buy, they would ask them on a consistent basis, is there anybody else you know that we can help? Is there anybody else you know that we can help? And they would get a ton of referrals out of that book of business. So there's a whole new book of business in front of your eyes here that, it might not happen tomorrow, but over the next several weeks, if you put this in place and make sure you've got a good follow-up structure where you're asking for a referral on a consistent basis from these people you're trying to get ready to buy, you've got a gold mine of referrals out there. Because just because somebody has bad credit doesn't mean all of their friends have bad credit, okay? Or just because somebody doesn't have enough time on the job doesn't mean all their friends don't have enough time on the job. They are excellent, excellent people to refer to. Okay. Another quick story, and we'll dive in here well, no, we'll just go forward. Okay. So this is your first script. I'm trying to help as many people as I can right now. With that in mind, is there anybody you know that I could talk to? Okay, so how can they respond to that? They could say yes. Okay, if they say yes, that's the best outcome, right? I see we're at 11:30. Don't worry, team. I will be done in less than 10 minutes here. But they can say yes, which would be the most wonderful thing in the world. And here's the deal. I think you'll be shocked if you start asking, right? How many people are going to say, yeah, matter of fact, I think I do. And you've got to internalize these scripts on your own, guys. You don't have to be the robot. I'm trying to help as many people as I can right now. With that in mind, is there any, you get the gist, right? Hey, I'm trying to help as many people as I can right now. With that in mind, is there anybody I could talk to right now? And it's best to say right now, or is there anybody you can think of right now that I could talk to? Emphasize you'd like to talk to them now. Is there anybody they can think of right now? And I know there's other ways that you can verbalize that to get even more effective with it, but you just got to get in the practice of asking. Okay, got to get in the practice of asking. If they say yes, hey, respond however you want. I'm going to say, awesome, great. What's their number? I'll call them right away. Just let's go. Okay, that's fantastic. And on that call, when you make it, what are you going to do? At the end of that call, you're going to ask for them too. You're going to ask them if they know anybody. Okay, or they could say no. Okay, and if they say no, here's one of your other scripts. You just say, okay, no problem. If you think of anybody between now and the next time we talk, can you let me know? And what do you think they're going to say to that? They're going to say, okay, sure. Now, this is a critical one. If they say no. If they say no and you say, no problem. And if you say this, though, if you think of anybody between now and the next time we talk, let me know, okay? Right? If you ask that question, okay, they're going to say okay to it. They're never going to say no, all right? They're going to say okay. But if you do that, what you've done is you set yourself up and you've prepared that prospect. That prospect has the understanding that you could ask them again. You've asked them, to think about this between now and the next time we talk, and they've said, okay. So if you come back again and ask them, hey, since the last time we spoke, did you manage to happen to think of anybody that might need my help? If you ask them that a few times down the road, right, they're not shocked or anything, but they're kind of expecting it. So you've teed it up. You've got it all teed up for you to go ahead and do it. So let's continue on down the road here. You're going to be making some follow-up calls to people that get into your pipeline. And that follow-up call is just what I said. Hey, before I let you go, did you happen to think of anyone that could use my help that I might be able to talk to? So let's say this. If I said to the guy, I'm trying to help as many people as I can, anybody that could use my help? They say no. You say no problem. If you think of anybody between now and the next time we talk, let me know. They say okay. Well, the next time you talk to them, if at the end of that call you said, oh, hey, before I let you go, did you happen to think of anybody that I might be able to help? Right? That's your script here. So those are the 3 spots that you would do this, right? So now let's look at this. I want you to consider this. We talked about this particular scenario. A guy needs to make 11 calls a day. He needs to ask for the business 11 times a day. We said, okay, let's say he could ask his past client database 5 of them a day. Maybe he can call 5 a day, right? And if they get them on the phone, have a little small talk, right? Or have something to talk about, which we're going to talk about here shortly. Have a little small talk, right? But then before he hangs up the phone, ask for the referral, right? So there's 5, okay? We also now talked about, well, what if I asked every single pre-qual I got? Because remember, we already determined that, maybe only 35% of those people convert to a real deal. So, let's say 30%, convert. And if I did 10 pre-quals, that means I still got to ask 10 times, right, in a week. So that's an extra 2 a day. So I've got 5 that I talked to on past client database. I got 2, right, of pre-quals that I did that I got to ask for the business. Okay, so now I'm up to 7 already in my day. I only need to get to 11, right? I only need 4 more. Okay, well, I'm hoping that most everybody has deals in the pipeline right now. Asking the people in your existing pipeline right now that you're processing loans for a referral throughout the loan process is critical, man. It's the best time to ask them. You know why it's a great time to start asking for a referral? Because you might get one. Okay, so I've got here when to ask. Right. Oh, it's supposed to say who to ask, not when to ask. That's a typo. We'll correct that for you. It's supposed to be when to ask and who to ask. But that's okay. When to ask, who to ask. You get the gist, right? We'll fix that for you. Okay, let's say we get our pre-qual done. We've already asked that guy for a referral or pre-qual. And he said no. But we already said, hey, if you think of anybody between now and the next time we talk, let me know. And he said okay, right? Well, now let's say we get a DU approval on the guy. If I wanted, I could ask him again. I could call him and say, hey, man, good news. We got an automated approval on you. He can say, great, man, I really appreciate that. Now, you might feel it's too soon to ask him again. Did you happen to think of anybody? And I would say, great, don't ask him now. There's going to be plenty more opportunity down the road. Let's say he gets into contract, right? And that we should have put that up here too, getting into contract. I forgot that one. Well, let's say he goes out and he gets into contract. Now you can call him and say, hey, congrats on getting into contract, man. This is good news. We'll get things started. We'll get the appraisal ordered. We'll do all the things we got to do. You'll be hearing from us on a regular basis now. Please be responsive, blah, 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 whatever you say. And at the end of the conversation, you go, oh, before I let you go, we had talked before. Hey, did you happen to think of anybody else that that you might know that I might need my help right now? And if he says no, what do you say? Hey, no problem. If you think of everybody else between now and the next time we talk, let me know, okay? He'll say, okay. Right? And you don't have to ask him every single time, right? But you can ask a lot. Here's the point I wanted to make. And we can include getting into contract here if we're talking purchase deals. But right now I have 8 moments, right? I've got DU approval, formal approval, appraisal received. Oh man, this isn't typo. This is supposed to be appraisal ordered. Sorry guys, but when we redid this for some reason, unless I just screwed it up. Appraisal ordered, appraisal received, right? So appraisal ordered, okay, appraisal received, conditions received, clear to close, docs ordered, loan funded, whatever. This is just 8 times. And you guys can make up your own sheet is what I would recommend. But as you go through the loan process, I think as loan originators, we don't like making status calls, but I'm going to tell you, you should embrace your status calls and you should be the one to make them. A status call is a green call, if you know what I mean by that, right? There's green activities and red activities. Green activities are money-making activities. Red activities are non-money-making activities, right? Good old Todd Duncan stuff. Green, every time you have a status update that you can make on your loan file, you should take advantage of that and treat it as a green opportunity because there's an opportunity in that for you to ask for a referral. I'll give you an example here. I've got eight potential triggers right here. And look at all the people that we can ask for a referral. We can call the borrower, let them know his appraisal got ordered. We figured there's been enough time since the last time we asked. We can say, hey, did you happen to think of anybody right now? We've got a new escrow open. There might be an escrow officer. So maybe you haven't even worked with before. You've got the appraisal ordered. You can call every one of these people. So every time one of these goes down, you can call all 4 of these people, let them know what's happening, right? And you can ask all or any one or any combination of them. While I got you on the phone before I let you go, I'm trying to help as many people as I can right now. Is there anybody you know right now that could use my help? Or why are we not asking these people? I've got escrow officer on here. I know in some areas it's a title officer, escrow attorney, or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter, right? You know how few loan originators ask their escrow people for a deal? Very few. One of my best referral partners was my escrow officer, Nancy Rublin. She was good for, 6-8 deals a year, right? I asked her. Nobody's asking her. Heck, these are people you're sending your refinance business to, and you're not asking them for a referral on a consistent basis. You got to ask them. I'm just saying that through a given loan process on one deal alone, on a purchase deal, there's 32 opportunities here through that process to ask for a referral. And you want to start asking right away in the beginning. You know why? Because you haven't had time to screw this deal up yet and piss everybody off, right? So you might get lucky by asking in the beginning and get something out of it, okay? And I'm not saying you're screwing anything up, but you know how things go, right? Things go sideways, that's how it is. So if you can think about that, every time one of these items goes down, you've got 4 people you can update and 4 people you can potentially ask. I'm not saying you ask everyone every time, but I'm saying there's 32 opportunities every single purchase deal you've got going right now. With that in mind, how hard is it going to be to get to those 11 asks a day? It's not going to be hard. And when you're asking the people that are involved in this transaction, these people got their real estate radar up and it's going, okay? It's going big time. They're thinking real estate. They're talking real estate. Here's a quick story, and then I'll move on because what I want to bring up is that when calling the past client database, it's cool if you can call the past client database with something to talk about, right? So we're going to touch base on that as soon as I'm done here on some things that you could think about to where you could send something out. Again, this is the Brian Buffini system. You send something out to your past client database, right? Or your referral partner database. Then you follow up with phone calls about the thing you sent out. See if there's any questions. But then before you hang up that call, you ask for the referral. That's the process, right? But here's a true story. Then I'll move on. And I want to bring on Damon from Rem Wholesale to talk about something that we might be able to send out to our past client database and our referral partners that we could follow up with those phone calls that we're talking about. But that's this story. I go to church and I play on the worship team. I either mix sound or play guitar. And the rehearsal for Sunday's church service with the worship team in our church is on Thursday nights. So one Thursday night I was at rehearsal. And, we've got the worship team there. So there's, guitar players, bass player, keyboard, drummer, singer, the worship leader, sound guy. There's six or so people sitting in there. And after the rehearsal, we're just all kind of sitting around shooting the breeze. And at that time, the worship leader, his name was David, he was in the process of buying a home. I didn't know this, but he just started talking about it. So we were all shooting the breeze, and he just brought it up. He goes, yeah, me and the wife are trying to buy a house, man. We're on like our third offer. It's just been real brutal, but we finally got it accepted. And then the other guys on the worship team were asking him questions. Oh, where's it at? Well, how much is it? Oh, when's it going to close? And all this. There was this big real estate transaction conversation going on right in front of my eyes. Right? And knowing this, because I was teaching this at the time, right? I was waiting to see, if David, the guy who's going through the process, offered up his real estate agent or his loan officer to any of these people because they had questions, about the transaction. But at no time did he ever say, he never said, yeah, if you're looking to do anything or need help with anything, my realtor and my loan officer are great. You know what I mean? If you need help with anything, let me know. I'd love to refer you over to him. And the reason that he never did that is because his real estate agent and his loan officer weren't asking him to do that. That's just the truth of it. If they were doing my system here, where they were asking from pre-qual all the way through the process, occasionally asking him, hey, did you happen to think of anybody between, since the last time we talked? If they were asking like that, right, I can assure you that Dave would have said, oh, by the way, they're both looking for referrals, so if you guys need their help, let me know. I'll hook you up with them. I know he would have said it. So that's why we want to do this, because these guys are megaphones. The people in your database right now are absolute megaphones. Don't resist asking the selling agent, the listing agent, the escrow officer, or the borrower. All four of those people could potentially refer you business. Okay. Now with that, I'm gonna hand this over to Damon, because one of the ways to do this effectively, especially with our past client database, is to send something out ahead of time. So, Damon, do you need me to make you the presenter for this, or can you just go ahead and verbally do this, or did you want to show your screen in any way?
No, we can leave your screens up. I think you have a lot of great information that people are probably still trying to take in.
Okay, then I'll just leave this up and go ahead. What's something that Remy can help with as far as getting some information out to the database, and how can they deliver that before they make their calls to follow up? Talk about that item, and then ask for the referral before they hang up the phone.
Well, I will tell you one thing for certain. One of our particular modes of expertise is in the realm of renovation, which adds several more layers of different contacts that you would be able to apply your system to in and around the normal loan process. And certainly when it comes down to interacting with your real estate agents, realizing that the renovation platform in general really does help to make their lives easier, and it helps your loan officers to actually connect to the sales cycle with the agent as they're reaching out to potential customers that are both shopping for homes and also their clients that are listing their homes for sale. So it does actually connect with your system in a lot of different ways to give you more opportunities to interact with various referral sources, which would include talking to people like contractors, graphic designers, and people of that ilk, because these are all people that are definitely interacting with people that are either looking to finance their current homes to accommodate making larger renovations, or are in the process for shopping for new homes. So it definitely is something that we can benefit. And obviously, we have a particular set of expertise with renovation lending, and we know how to make it really easy for the market.
Can these guys jump on to the website and grab some PDFs, basically attach it to their email system and blast it out?
We actually have a particular website that is totally set up for marketing pieces, where our clients can come in and totally customize some of our own pre-made marketing materials to use as their own to pass to their clients and customers. We also do a fairly good job of making sure that anybody that is definitely interested but maybe a little hesitant because they haven't done a 203K home, or a home style loan ever before or in 10 years, we have a lot of different webinars where we kind of go over a basic primer of the programs, so this way people can have a conversation about them without feeling totally alienated. In fact, we will be doing another one of these webinars next month, and that one's a bit of a specialty. It's about how you can specifically use the home style product to help investors actually finance investment properties.
Nice. Nice. So so as you can see, guys, even with Rem and Wholesale, you've got access to material that you can send out to the database and to the referral partners, which gives you something to talk about when you make the call. Because you can send something out, you make the call, if they answer the phone, you can say, hey, I sent that stuff out. I just seen if you got it, if you had any questions on it. They go, oh, yeah, I got it. It's cool. Tell me more. And you can talk about it. Or they might say, oh, I got it. And I don't have any questions. And you just go, great. Well, just let me know if you need any help before I let you go. I'm trying to help as many people as I can right now. Is there anybody that I could help? That might need my help today? That's asking for the business. That counts as one of your ask for the business phone calls. So thank you, Damon. I appreciate that. I'm going to move to some of the questions here. And I can see that a lot of people are hearing a lot of background noise. That's probably our fault. We got a kind of a busy office back here, and I apologize for that. And hopefully you can hear enough through it to get to the gist of it. Some of the questions are, hey, am I going to get this slide or this PowerPoint? Yep, you're going to get it. Am I going to get the spreadsheet? Yep, you're going to get it. We're going to send it out. Hopefully this webinar recorded okay, and I can assure you the audio on the recording will probably be a lot better if it wasn't so good for you from your end. But we should be able to get the recording of that out to you as well. So you could share this if you're a branch manager or something like that with your entire team. Go over it with your entire team and really make it a practice. On the bigger presentation of this, we actually provide checklists, et cetera, where, I actually say get your assistants involved with it and your processors involved with it, where when you reach these certain milestones, that file winds up on the loan originator's desk, and the loan originator has to make the calls to those 4 individuals, selling agent, listing agent, escrow officer, borrower, and ask at least 1 or 2 of them for the referral on each and every status update call, which again, if you're doing that, these status update calls become your gravy, your bread and butter. They become actual money-making calls. So somebody asked here, this is John, he says, hey, what if I get voicemail? And that's a great question. And what I would simply do is ask them to call you back. I would go ahead and leave the voicemail saying, hey, I sent you something out. John, just wanted to see if you got it, if you had any questions. I hope all's going well. Just as a reminder, we're trying to help as many people as we can right now out here at my company. So if there's anybody that could use my help, man, I'd really appreciate it if you gave me a call back. I'm at 707-695-6313. I mean, that's what I would do. There might be differences of opinion on that. A great way to do it that we've learned over here is just say, hey, John, if they know you, if they're your past clients, say, hey, John, Frank over at ABC Mortgage Company. I hope all's going well. If you get a moment, could you just give me a call, please? And just leave it at that. I mean, they don't know what it is, and you're their ex-mortgage guy, and who knows, it might be something on their house, and you'll probably get a call back, at which case you could just do your script at that point. So that's a great call. That's a great question. Okay, here's another question. How many calls do you think it would take to get 5 loans a month? And how can you call if they are on the do not call list? That's a really great question. Here's the deal. If you've ever done business with them in the past, it's okay to call them. They're your peeps. I mean, there's probably no issue with that because they know you, right? If you're calling a list where people don't know you, that's not really what we're talking about doing here. You're trudging into territory that, you could, might get yelled at or something like that, or get your hand slapped or something like that. Another thing that's interesting is business to business does not apply to do not call. So if you're calling referral partners, real estate agents, listing agents, escrow officers, that type of thing, it simply doesn't apply. And of course, when you're doing pre-qualifications on people, you've been asked to call them. So of course you would start asking at that particular point in time. So I think that the dividing line there is simply if you know the person, intimately as a friend or an associate or someone like that. If you've gone through a loan process with a person, you're calling them a month or two from now. I honestly don't think that's any problem with do not call. How many does it take to get 5 deals a month? I don't know. You'll have to go through the spreadsheet. You'll have to figure out your conversion ratios, and you have to figure out what you're going to do. I can tell you this: when I was doing it, I made it a point to call 5 a day, and that was 100 a month, and it was generating me about 5 deals a month. So it's just a matter of finding more people to call and making sure you do it consistently. Somebody said, "Awesome, I appreciate that." People asking if they can get copies of things. Yes. Is it being recorded? Yes. Okay, here's one. Let's see. I don't even know what this is. This is Linda. Let's see. Do you have scripts and forms that you'll be emailing to us? Yes, it's all, you're getting the presentation. The scripts are on there. A voicemail, that was a great question. Somebody's asking about voicemail again. Again, people are complaining about the background noise here. I'm sure that was my office, and I apologize. Let's see. Is the loan officer the one making the referral calls in your office? The noise. Okay, how does the loan officer know when to make a status call if you have someone else processing the loan? How are you communicating this within your team? Well, this is from Gail. Gail, I'm not sure how your office runs and if you're a loan originator. And this applies real estate as well. Real estate agents, you've got milestones that you go through every, I know you got your escrow coordinators. You're making sure termite reports are ordered, home inspections are ordered, they're coming back. I mean, those are the times to status the people in the transaction as well. You can status your loan originator. I'll bet you $1 billion that 99% of the loan originators on this call have never been asked for a referral by a real estate partner. I'll bet you. But if you started doing that, loan officers can refer too. So real estate agents, you've got people in the transaction that you can update on your milestones and ask for a referral as well, going through the active transaction. But the question here is how does a loan officer know when to make a status call? Well, in most offices, as you're going through a loan process, if you're the loan originator, I would hope you know when things are happening. I would hope that you would be able to access your file and understand when things have transpired. And if not, that's really something you need to look into and try and make that happen for you personally in your office, because these are just gold mine phone calls, and it would be a shame to miss out on them. A lot of awesomes, great things here. I think we've... Oh, here's a good one. I would think asking too many times would irritate some people. Yes, then don't do it too many times. I'm just saying there's 32 opportunities. There's 32 opportunities. You be the judge. Okay, you be the judge of that, right? But anything is better than nothing is what I'm going to tell you. And I would say more than once is mandatory, okay, going through the process. More than once. At least 2 times to each person. I would say that. Okay, that's a lot more than you're doing right now, and you'll be shocked at what the results will be. Real quick story, then I think we'll go ahead and let everybody know there's a lot more questions here, and I will be answering them for you directly when I get the spreadsheet of the attendees. We'll get the stuff out to you, but there's one more story that pertains to exactly what this person has asked, because I really appreciate the question, because there was a time where Brian and I were doing coaching for originators, and one of the things I coached was asking for the business. And I had a brand new guy. This guy was brand new in the business, and he had nothing. He had one deal in the pipeline, man, one deal. And he was doing this, and he was asking every single time, and he was finding reasons to call this guy and ask him. And he called me, and he goes, "Dude, I'm so freaked out. I'm horrified right now." I go, "What's the matter?" He goes, "Oh." He goes, I've got this one deal, and I've asked this guy like 5 times, and the last time I called him, when he picked up the phone, he said, "Before you even ask me, I don't know anybody that I can send you right now. So don't even have to bother asking me." And I said, I just felt so bad. I go, "Here's the deal, man. Maybe you asked him a few too many times." I said, "But here's how I might have handled it. I might have just said something like this. Oh man, I'm sorry. I know I'm asking a lot. Just keep in mind, this is how I make my living. If I don't ask and if I don't get deals, I don't make any money. So, I'm a little overzealous and I ask a lot. I appreciate you letting me know. And sorry about that." And the guy probably would have responded and said, "Hey, no problem, man. Just I got you. I know." And I would have responded back and said, "Okay, cool. So while I got you on the phone, is there anybody else that I could be talking to right now?" I mean, I would have been funny with it and had some fun with it, but yeah, you can overdo it. You can overdo it. Different people are different. I'm just saying, from pre-qual to close, there's many opportunities to start asking for the business from the people who are actively involved in a real estate transaction, who have their real estate radar up and going right now, who are really, involved in real estate right now to the point of where they're probably talking to other people about it, right? All around them, coworkers, friends, family members. You've got a really great opportunity and a really high probability of getting a referral out of that person if you start asking. Again, I'm going to wrap this thing up. I'll get to all your questions later. We'll go ahead and pass this back to Carl for a sign off. There's other questions, Carl, but I'll answer those directly. I don't want to hold anybody up. But the last thing I'll say is if you do this, it's going to grow your pipeline, guaranteed. Guaranteed, it will grow your pipeline, and you're not spending a penny doing it. So I believe I delivered what I said I would deliver. So with that, Carl, I'll hand it back to you.
Right, Frank, you absolutely delivered what you said you would. It's funny because you went way over the time frame, but I love your passion because, right, you and I and so many of us on this call have all been in the same position. We were all loan officers at one time. We managed people as well, and it's getting back to the basics. I'm getting so many texts and emails, and one kind of stands out. It's good reminders of what we all should be doing, but usually don't. So a lot of this stuff is common sense, things we've done in the past, but you know what? We get busy. We, our minds kind of all over the place. We just need to get back to the basics and go after the referrals and networking and all the stuff you talked about. So I love your passion. A lot of really good stuff. We had about 2,000 people registered for this call today. So all of you, most of you loan officers on this call really want to learn and find out about new ideas to go out there and get some more business. So we appreciate you spending some time with us, Frank, today. Thank you, Damon, so much. Thank you for all of you. Remington Wholesale is here. We're a lender. The same day turn times and all the good stuff, the speed that we're known for, the renovation products. We offer a full range of products. We want to hear from you. If you'd like to go on our website or reach out to any of us, we'd love to hear from you and talk to you about some new business. But I want to thank everyone again. Have a great day, great week, and end of the month, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.